everybody. I am finally back. I was supposed to be recording every month, and yeah, April just kind of slipped by me. I had all of these plans to record a podcast or a Flosstube, whatever you want to call it, a vlog, if you will, and yeah, and we're now at the middle of May. We're towards the end of May, and this is the first time I've really sat down to record. So, let's talk about some of the things that have been going on. Into the school year. In fact, tomorrow is the last day of school. The last day. I'm excited. I have tons of plans for crafting over the summer, but I also plan on doing some part-time work. I've got lots of books to read that I want to get read over the summer. I've got a couple of professional development things for work that I need to get done. And I have my follow-up with my surgeon for my 1-year anniversary from my gastric bypass, which, y'all, it's not going so well for me. It just isn't. So I'm just going to skip over that part because I'm not feeling it. I'm not in the best headspace when it comes to my weight loss journey right at this moment. So skipping over that, let's talk the craft stuff. So if you're not aware, I live northwest of Houston. I am in basically the very northwestern part of Harris County, which houses Houston. I'm about as far northwest as you can get. I am close to Waller. And if you weren't aware, last week we got hit with a couple of tornadoes and a really, really bad storm that I won't say it came out of nowhere because we were warned that there was a pretty bad storm coming. We just were not aware of how bad it was and how intense it would get. So, last Thursday, by the way, today is May the 22nd. Last Thursday, Wednesday, May the 22nd. Last Thursday is when that storm hit in the evening. And it knocked out the power to my neighborhood, to my entire area. We didn't get any power back until Sunday afternoon. So I tried to do a little bit of crafting during that time, but honestly, it was pretty grueling. I did a lot of reading. We did go get a generator that was able to power a portable AC unit, some lights, our freezer. We had to throw out everything in the fridge, but we were able to keep the freezer food. So a little traumatized by all of that. My in-laws and my sister, they were right there where the tornado hit. It was pretty brutal for our area. So we were off school on Friday. We are back this week, and it is the final week of school, and now it is time to start focusing on all of those craft projects. During the month of April, I decided that the best way for me to make sure that I'm getting all of my goals accomplished is by not having them digitally. I don't know what it is about it, but for me personally, I think it's more of an out of sight, out of mind thing. Like, I've tried GoodNotes and I've tried Apple Notes and all of the things. I can make the goals, but I never go back and look at the goals. That's the issue. So while I was I think I was at Dollar General, I found this cute little notebook at Dollar General. And what I decided to do is this is going to be my crafting journal. So I can put down all of my information on all of the projects that I'm working on, all of my works in progress, whether they're knitting, crocheting, cross-stitching, sewing, whatever it may be. I have decided that this is going to be where I house that information and I set my goals. So, I also decided that I was going to put pictures of what the final object looks like in it. And so here we go. So very first page, I've got my Magic Study. This is what it'll look like when it's done. This is from Rose Con. It is a retired, out of print, limited edition from Rose Con, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And I started this back February 5th, 2022. And it is 750 stitches by 555 stitches with 90 colors. And I am doing it on 25 count Lugana easy count, and I am doing 1/1 full cross. And so, like we talked about before, my 2024 goal is to have 30% complete. That's my goal. So what I decided to do is to give myself monthly goals. And some of my goals I've done as percentages, some I've done as stitches. It just depends on what the work in progress is. And so with my Magic Study, I've decided to do it as percentages. And so, like we've talked about before, in January, I didn't get to touch it at all because I was trying to finish my Iris Keeper. February, same thing. And then in March, I didn't really set a goal for myself. But I was able to get in 4,597 stitches. So that's where this is. Right here is where I'm putting my goal, and here is what I accomplished. So I set for April a goal of getting to 18%, and I got just underneath it. I got to 17.91%. My May goal is 20%. 20% is kind of lofty for me, but I think with school being out tomorrow, I'm going to have some time. And so currently where I sit, I'm pulling up my Markup RXP. I'm sitting at 18.31%. So I've got over 1.5% to go. I have decided that this is going to be probably the last thing that I work on this month, possibly. We'll see. Maybe I'll hit it pretty hardcore next week, but this is what I'm doing. And so I did move my Q-snap this time. I moved it a little bit. I got one full column done on my modified Royal Rose, and I started back at the top when I moved my Q-snap. And so this is where we are at. I was able, since the last time we talked, I filled in all of this area down here, and I've moved up here. And so, like I said, I'm doing kind of a modified Rogue Royal Rose. That's a tongue twister. Modified Rogue Royal Rose. So it's pretty much, I'm going across and trying to finish out the color thread. If there's nothing across, I look down, and if there's nothing there, then I will keep looking a little bit further down. I'm trying to finish out as much as possible, but I'm trying not to go too far down. And so there's a little bit of parking there. This seems to work for me. So this is what I'm going with. So Magic Study, Rose Con is the artist. Again, this is retired, limited edition, out of print. Rose Con is not with Heaven and Earth anymore. So this is not something that you can get anymore, but it's still quite beautiful. All right, next up, I'm just going to go straight through my notebook. So what's next in my notebook? Let's see. So we have Magic Study, and now we have the Grand Library. So for the year, for the Grand Library, my goal is to get to 5% complete. This is what it'll look like when it's done. The Grand Library is from Amy Stewart. It's artwork by Amy Stewart. It is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And I have purchased the supersize max color version of this chart. And I'm gonna be real honest, I probably should have gone with a regular size, because the supersize max color is 999 stitches across and 716 down with 240 different colors. I am doing this on 25 count Lugana easy count, and this one I'm doing 2/1 10 stitch or half stitch. I really couldn't tell you the difference between the two. I lean more towards it's a half stitch, but I am again doing this kind of modified Royal Rose. I literally did not touch this January, February, March, or April. Didn't touch it at all. So for May, my goal, I decided, was to get to 4%. That is my goal. Let's see where we are at. We are at 3.48%. In fact, this is what I have been working on for the last like week or so. I have been working on this. I haven't been working on much of anything else. So here are my stats, 3.48%. I have completed 24,897 stitches. And like I said, pretty much that's what I've been working on for this week. This is the first I've touched it in a while. So let's take a look at the actual work. And I will show you while I'm here one of the new things that I got off of Amazon. Here is my Grand Library Supersize Max Color. So the thing that I got off of Amazon to help me out, because my stitching spot, I've got a light next to me and I have a ring light that I use, but still, even with that, I find that I lack light to be able to see what I need to. So it's a little book light that is rechargeable. I absolutely love it. It recharges down here at the base. It clamps on, so you can see. Let me just take this off of here. So it has a little rechargeable spot with a USB-C. There it is right there. And this thing has come in handy over the last week with the lack of electricity that we've had. It became an actual book light so that I could read. And, you know, I absolutely adore this. It's another one of those patterns that I just freaking love it. It is amazing to me. It is one of my favorites, and kind of sucks that I hadn't touched it in, what, a year? I don't know. So I have a goal of 4% for the month. Don't know if I'll get there, but it's a good goal to have. All right, moving on. The next one is the Grand Butterfly Ball by Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth. And right now I am doing this on 32 count Lugana easy count, 1/1 10 stitch. It is 875 by 625 stitches, 90 colors. Here is what it'll look like when it's done. And I have a goal of this one having 10% complete by the end of the year. That might be kind of lofty. I'm not sure, but that's where I'm setting. I'm setting kind of lofty goals. I set for the month of May a goal of 1% complete, and I am currently sitting at 0.48%. 0.48. I've only done 2,600 stitches roughly, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know that I'm going to touch this one this month, even after setting a goal. And that's because I can't decide if I'm okay with the count. I'm not getting the coverage that I want on it. Let me find the correct project bag. I think this is it. Here's another thing that I got off of Amazon while I'm here. I got these big mesh bags to hold some of my works in progress. Doesn't hold my Supersize Max Color. It barely holds this, so I may be shopping for some other ones. Maybe some better quality ones. These were not the best quality. One of the bags, the first time I zipped it, the zipper just fell apart. So it wasn't great, but it works in a pinch. Came in 2 different size bags. I've got the ones that are big enough for these, and then there's smaller versions that I've got little notions and other things in. So not the best purchase, but not the worst. All right, so this is the Grand Butterfly Ball, and I love the pattern. I just don't know if the coverage is going to be good. So I started out over here 2/1 tent, and like, it's thick. She is thick. It is difficult, especially in the higher confetti areas, to get stitches through. Now, compared to the 2/1 tent on the Grand Library, it's thick, but it's not difficult to get through. There's a little more space for those stitches. So I pretty much did all of this in 2/1. And then I decided, after talking to some people online, that I could probably do 1/1. And so over here, I started switching over to 1/1. And let's see if you can tell. The coverage isn't great. I mean, again, not the best, but you can see kind of right here, you can see the thread, excuse me, the fabric. You can see it through. So I'm not sure. I am not sure that this is right for me. And I don't know that I want to go back to 2/1. So this has been sitting in the naughty corner pretty much all month. I've not done much with it. So is what it is. So don't know that I'm going to get anything else done with that one this month, but there it is. I did show that. I said I would show everything that's in the book, so I will. All right. So for that, I've set a goal of 1%. Don't think I'm going to get there. All right, next up. So a couple of weeks ago, we had an opportunity to see the Aurora Borealis in Texas, of all places. One of my bucket list things is to see the auroras. It has always been something I want. And I didn't hear about it until literally a couple hours before I got off work. And so I sent my husband some news articles and some posts that I saw on social media, and was super excited. And you know, we decided, and I'll use that term loosely, I decided that Friday night, let's give ourselves the best opportunity to see as much of the aurora as possible. So we got in the car and we drove north of Houston, going towards Dallas, thinking we're going to have a better opportunity to see. As we were headed north, people were posting on Facebook from our neighborhood, from towns nearby. They were posting these beautiful pictures of the aurora that they were taking from their backyards. And so we didn't get to see much of anything. It started raining on the way up I-45. By the time we got near Dallas, we had seen nothing. It was super late. And so we turned around and came home and got to see pretty much nothing. So I was pretty heartbroken by that. But my husband has promised me that maybe in the future we will do like an Alaskan cruise or go to Iceland or something. And we will try and do it during a time period where there's the potential for some auroras. So let's hope, because I didn't really get to cross anything off of my bucket list there. But to celebrate and to kind of make myself feel a little bit better, I came across a pattern on Etsy. And this pattern is a beautiful array of Aurora Borealis colors. And I had to have it. And, you know, I talked about how the Grand Library is probably the only supersized max color I will ever do. And I planned that I never would buy another one. But when you find a pattern and it only comes in what that designer calls large size, it's basically a supersized max color. It just is. It doesn't have as many colors. It's not 240, it's 150, but it's still pretty big. It's pretty big. So this is Boreal Colors. And I've just called it a supersized max color because pretty much that's what it is. Look at the different array of colors. It's just, it's gorgeous. So this is, I found it on Stitches So Beautiful's store on Etsy. And it's by Eder Jose Rosa, the artist. I am doing this in an unknown Lugana. I don't really know what count this is. I think it is 25 count, but I'm not sure. And so I am using dots in a water soluble marker to mark off the 10 by 10 squares. And I am doing this in 2/1. I'm doing 2/1 10 stitch or half stitch. And I am doing this one in Royal Rose for the most part. I've not gone rogue yet, but I am feathering out how I am doing this so I don't get any of the lines of the rose, because I'm noticing that happens sometimes. So that is what I'm doing on this, and I love it. So my goal for 2024 is to have 5% of this chart complete by the end of 2024. And I bought this chart and started it April 21st. My April goal was to just get 500 stitches in. I mean, it was towards the end of the month and I had a ton of other things to do. And it was during that post-star test season. So I knew I wouldn't have a whole lot of time to dedicate to it. And so I decided 500 stitches would be good. I ended up doing 531. And so in May, I decided that my goal would be 1,000 stitches. But because it was that Aurora time and I was just really excited about working on this, and because most of it was one color and it just zipped through, before I knew it, I made it to 3,300 stitches. I went way above and beyond what I had planned to do. And so I've gotten over 1% done, and I'm not sad about that. So I probably will pick this up and do another like 1,000 stitches in June, but I have not touched it in several days because I've got other stuff to do. I just do. So that is that one. So that was Boreal Colors. And now I have a finished object, you guys. This one, I had promised before the next podcast, I wanted to have it done. Now, this one is a knitting project, and I showed it in a previous video. It is the Ponderosa sweater by Wool.and.Pine. So this is what it looks like. And so my goal was to get this done before the end of April. I finished it May 1st. I got so incredibly close, but it didn't quite make it. I had a little bit left to do. I had one sleeve that I needed to do, that I needed to finish, and I just couldn't get it done. And so I finally finished it May 1st. The yarn that I used is Dragon Hoard yarn in her Myth Fingering base in the color Night Triumphant. And it is this beautiful tonal navy color. Here is a good little look at the colors. It is just stunning colors. And so this, here it is. So funny story, with this pattern, when you do this pattern, you do the front panel first, then you do the back panel, then you seam all of those together. Not too keen on the seaming. I will be real honest there. Especially after I figured out that the first time I did this, I wasn't paying really good attention and I seamed it right past the sleeves, just seamed it right up, and I had to unpick all of that. So then I reconfigured and I put it together, I seamed it up, and then I look and I had this front panel upside down. So I unpicked it again. And, you know, my friend told me nobody else is going to notice that. Nobody else is going to notice or care and go, oh my gosh, those cables are upside down. But if I'm going to do it and I want to wear it, I want it to be right. I want it to be right. So I unpicked it again. I redid the panel upside down and reconfigured it. I sewed it back up and then I attached the sleeves. I got the sleeves done. You'll notice I have all of these light bulb stitch markers, and the reason I have those is to keep track of my rows. I wanted to make sure that my row count was exactly the same on both sleeves, and so we definitely are. And I have not blocked this. I have not worn this. I've not weaved in any ends. You can see they're hanging. Not a priority to do that. I probably will next week while I'm on my summer vacation. So one finished object out of the way. And you'll notice this is super cropped. The goal is to wear this over a dress. So, because it's kind of see-through. It just is. So that's my goal. And so it doesn't matter if it's a little cropped, even though I don't really like to wear cropped things. That's where we're at. So it's kind of loosey-goosey, oversized, and I plan on wearing it with a dress. So all done. The next thing that I have been working on, my next work in progress, is my Flying Foxtail wrap. Pattern is by Stephen West, the mastermind, the genius of color and stitches and things like that. The Flying Foxtail wrap I am doing in 2 different types of yarn like the pattern calls for. The pattern calls for 1 sock yarn, fingering weight yarn, and then mohair. So I am using Suburban Stitcher, and I'm using a single ply, and this is in her colorway Cinder. And then this mohair is from Stellar Needlecraft, my friend Laura, and it is her Nebula lace in the color Midnight Blue. And so I started this last year before DFW Fibre Fest, and I got like 1 repeat in, I think. And then I never picked it up again. It's been a couple of months. So I have made the determination that my goal per month will be 2 repeats of the pattern. And I have joined a local knitting crochet group that meets every other week at the Olive Garden down the road. And we had our very first meetup the day before or 2 days before the tornadoes hit. So our next meetup will be next Tuesday. And I have been working on it on and off, and I have finished 1 pattern repeat. So that means I need to do 1 more pattern repeat. So here she is. I just absolutely love these big increase sections that create that fanning pattern. I just love it. This is not a very intuitive pattern. It's not. It is brioche. It is, for me, something that I have to pay really close attention to on the increase rows. There's a lot of decreases in it, and it's not just your normal type of decreases. With this pattern, it creates, let me pull up the pattern real quick. There it is. So in this pattern, the decreases that he uses are decreases that allow for a 2-stitch decrease, and it will slant to the left or it'll slant to the right depending on how you work on it. So it's a BRL SLDEC and a BRR SLDEC. And I can never remember which one is which. I struggle with remembering which one. And so I literally will take my Apple Pencil and write on the pattern on each page how to do each of those decreases so that I can remember which one does what. So I am currently through row 2. Row 2 of the second pattern repeat for the month out of a total of 16 rows. And, you know, keep in mind, brioche rows are always really 2 rows because you work in 2-color brioche. You work in your first color. So for me, color number 1 is the gray. So I go across with that. And then I don't turn the work. I go back to the other side. I pick up the mohair. Where's my mohair? I pick up the mohair and then I work the mohair across. So really every row is 2 rows, which is what makes brioche so squishy because you're working 2 sides, right? Here's the back, by the way. You're working 2 rows per row. You are making this squishy fabric, and I love brioche. I adore brioche knitting. It is so rhythmic and methodical and advanced, and I am the kind of crafter that I love jumping into the deep end with things. I am a let's go for it kind of person. I'm going to learn my skills by doing advanced things. I very rarely will do the smaller stuff, the beginner stuff. It's usually not my jam. So I've got another 14 rows to go on this. So the goal is to have that done by the end of May. So I will be working on that, especially next week when I am at my knit crochet group. They were, the people that were there with me were just floored by what I was doing, and they have the lady that is running this has asked me to potentially teach some classes, and there is going to be a new yarn store coming up in my area, which I'm kind of stoked about because I usually have to drive at least 30 minutes to get to a yarn store. I'm not talking the big box stores. I'm talking like a small business, which is my preference. This one is going to be like 15 minutes. So I'm excited, and she's just getting started, and she's asked me if I want to teach any classes. So we shall see. Crafting is my, it is a thing that saves my mental health. It is something I am passionate about, but I am not great at teaching the fundamental things. I am very good at teaching the advanced things if you've got some skills. So I am hoping that with a brioche class, maybe there will be some skills already there. So still thinking on that one. All right, next goal, next item. This is another new pattern. I've had this pattern for a while. It was purchased for a specific person, and I just never got to it. So Lexi, if you are watching this, please, please, please look away, stop the video, go ahead to this timestamp that's down here and skip over this. Don't ruin this for yourself, okay? So I bought, like 2 years ago, I want to say, a pattern from the Witchy Stitcher. I had seen someone on Instagram that had posted a blanket where they had done this blanket in Tunisian crochet. And if you're not aware, Tunisian crochet makes a very square stitch. What that is good for is cross stitching over the top to make patterns. And so my original thought was, I am going to make this beautiful Tunisian crochet blanket, and I'm going to make it all in black, and then I'm going to do this pattern on top of it. And I probably got about this far into the blanket, and that took several months to do, and I lost all want to work on it. I had no desire to work on it, and so I scrapped the whole project. It went to the frog pond. It is gone. And so I made the decision a couple of months ago that maybe I could work on that pattern as an actual cross stitch, you know, what it's meant for. So I decided to start getting all of the materials, and I picked up a piece of black Aida, and this is a 14 count Aida. It is a 15 by 18 inch piece of Aida, and I started working on this month. My goal, because this is not full coverage, in fact, I think this is my only non-full coverage cross stitch I've ever had. Tells you how obsessed with full coverage I am. My goal is 20% per month complete. And what that will allow for is if I do 20% in May, 20% in June, 20% in July, 20% in August, and 20% in September, then I can have it completed and framed. And when my sister-in-law Lexi has her birthday, I can present it for her. So this is what it looks like. This is Poisonous Plants by the Witchy Stitcher. I have started it. I've gotten all of the colors that I need. I'm a little concerned because I've never done back stitching. I've never done letters like this. And so there are a lot of little words that I am going to have to stitch. And so probably all of those words are going to be done in September when I am finishing it up. So we'll see how that goes. So right now I am at, I want to say it's 16%. I had a heck of a time getting this pattern into Markup RXP. I'm not going to lie. It took a lot of zhuzhing, a lot of moving things around. I had to manually input a lot into this chart to get it to work. It doesn't do the back stitching or anything like that on there, so I'm gonna have to go by eye on that. So I have done a total of 415 stitches, and Markup says that I'm at 13.77%, which honestly, I think when I'm talking about my percentages, I'm going to go off of this number here, and I'm going to try and beat the 20% by like 1 or 2%, because when I get to September and I have all those letters to do, it's going to be a lot. So this is what I have done. So I am working within my Q-snap as much as possible. I am finding it pretty lovely, but I am not used to working with such a large Aida. Other than this, the biggest Aida I had worked on was 22 count. Like, I'm usually a 25 to, like I've told you before, 32 count. Like, I like the tiny stuff. So this is pretty gigantic to me. So I am working on this 2/1, and I am doing full crosses, of course. And I'm really having to think about not carrying my threads across the back because there's all of this dead space. And because it's such big gridded fabric, you can see the back of it. And I don't want those to show. So here's the back. You can see, like, I'm not carrying anything really. There's very few things that are carried. Another thing that I grabbed on Amazon are these little clips here. These are for spools to hold thread together, but they do a great job of holding my Ada in place. I bought a huge just jug of them from Amazon and I absolutely love it. So yeah, poisonous plants. There we go. So I will be working on that probably next week too. All right, what is next? I think this is the last one to talk about. So I live in Texas, and every year Texas has the DFW Fibre Fest. And I have now gone 2 years to the DFW Fibre Fest. My friend Laura that I spoke of before, she runs Stellar Needlecraft. She has had a booth there now this will be her 3rd year having a booth at DFW Fibre Fest. Last year I was helping her out with her booth. I'm not sure if she wants the help this year or not. Regardless, I'll probably be in her booth hanging out and helping, but I don't know if I'm gonna be like an actual like helping employee. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'll put it this way. She hasn't asked me to help, but she's my friend and I'm going to help anyway. So DFW Fibre Fest is in September. And I take a couple of days off in September from school because this is something that I love. This is something that I want to be able to do. And while yes, it's over the weekend and I could go up on just Saturday and possibly Sunday, some of the classes that I want to take are on Thursday and Friday. And I love being there. So they just released the classes to purchase. I haven't purchased my classes yet. None of the ones that I want are sold out yet. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed there. We got to wait on paychecks and things like that. So waiting on that. But they also released their make-along pattern. And their make-along pattern this year is from Carissa Browning. And she has released a shawl pattern that is both done in crochet and a knit. And you get to choose whichever version you want. And so while I do love crochet, and I have done a ton of crochet in my life, knitting is my jam. And so I got the knitted pattern. And so the make along is the this away shawl, or for the crochet version, it's called the that away shawl, which is super cute. And it is this stripy kind of modular pattern. So I decided I was going to do that. So I made goals for myself. I have to get this done by September before DFW Fibre Fest and have enough time to block it and everything. So my goal is for the month of May to get to 25% complete. I've got a pretty lofty goal. I have not done much on it, but I do plan on working on it this weekend some and probably next week some. But I've also given myself a little bit of leeway in that if I aim to get 25% done per month, that means by the end of August, I'll be done. I've got some extra time in September before the show to be able to finish it up and block it. So maybe I should have gone with 20%, but that's okay. So I decided that I wanted to do a slightly bigger size shawl. I could have done just one skein and one skein because it's a 2-color. I could have done size 1 or even size 2. That would have been just one skein of 8 each one. But I have a couple of colors of Suburban Stitcher yarn that I have a full skein and then I have a partial skein. And I'd like to use that if possible. So I decided those are going to be the colors that I use. So I decided color number 1 was going to be Suburban Stitcher Antique. It is this very light taupey off-white color. I did a whole shawl, gosh, it is probably 5 years ago now, the quill shawl. It's a, oh, what are they called? It's not haptic. Whatever it is. I'll find what it is and I'll put it down here. But it's one of those square shawls in this yarn color. And I ended up buying too much yarn for it. I ended up with a full skein left plus a pretty good amount left in the cake that I was working from at the end. So I've got this. I've got another full skein in this. And then I had a purchase. Was I at the Modern Skein? I think I bought it from the Modern Skein a couple of years ago at a trunk show for the Suburban Stitcher. She had her colors, Oslo and Melancholy and some other colors that were kind of moody and neutral. And I bought them without anything in mind. And so when I did a Stephen West pattern, let's see, wasn't this year, it was last year, I used Melancholy and I ended up with another full skein and another partial skein of Melancholy. So I figured this is pretty perfect for me to be able to do size 3 of the This Away shawl. And so I started it on May the 18th, and I'm working on some shorter interchangeable needles at this point. I will change out to a different size cable later, but for right now I don't need it so big. So this is as far as I've gotten. Have not gotten very far at all. I literally worked on it on the 18th and that was it. I haven't done anything else with it. It's pretty intuitive. This is going to end up being kind of a mindless knit at a certain point. I think once the school year ends tomorrow, this will definitely be the thing that is going to come with me to be able to work on when I am waiting to be able to leave on the final day of school. So that is the final pattern that is in my bag that I got from the Modern Skein. I didn't show, this is the bag that I make from my shop, which is currently closed on Etsy, but my shop is Crate Falls Designs, just like my channel is named. I plan on hopefully reopening that over the summer. That is one of my goals for the year, is to reopen my small business, Crate Falls Designs, and so we'll see if that actually happens. But I do love these bags that are drawstring to keep it all together. All right, so that's it. Other than that, the only other things that I need to make sure that I get working on, I have a quilt that I have started piecing. Gosh, it was 3 years ago. And I have maybe done 25% of it. I want to work on that in June. I have a robe that I sewed like 2 to 3 years ago, and all I have left of this robe is, I think it's the belt. I think that's it. So I need to finish that belt and get it done. It probably at this point is too big for me, but it's a robe, so that doesn't really matter. But it is in a pretty masculine plaid pattern, so maybe I'll give that to my husband. Probably will end up for him. I need to also cast on my cardigan that I plan on making for this year. That's one of my goals for the year, is to make a cardigan out of the yarn that I got from Houston Fibre Fest last year, which that is right here. This gorgeous rainbow tweed. Oh, puppy's in the way. This gorgeous rainbow tweed that I got from Wonder Luck Fibre in this maroon color. Oh, it's just so beautiful. The colorway is called the Arconia, and it is colorful tweed fingering. It is 85% superwash merino, 15% Donegal. And so I so want to cast this on. I've got a pattern, I think, to work with. I've got so many other projects waiting in the wings that I haven't gotten there yet. So that is what it is. I have to fix my husband's sweater. I did rip it all out, and he's picked out a cardigan pattern, and I have all of the yarn in here ready to go for when I'm ready to cast that on. So I need to do that. Other than that, we are planning a vacation in the end of July. We are supposedly heading up to the Washington, D.C. area. My husband is a fan of the Wolverhampton Wanderers, the Wolves soccer team in the English Premier League, and they are coming to the States, and he is super excited. So, to get a little bit extra money together to be able to do a vacation in the way that we want, which is to not have to worry about what we're spending and things like that, I will also be picking up some Ubering, doing some food deliveries here and there to kind of supplement. That will help out there. And I won't be putting in a whole lot there because I have all these crafting goals, but it makes it to where I feel like we can have any kind of vacation we want. I'll have extra to be able to do that. I am teaching summer school at 2 of the community colleges that I work for. All of them are virtual, and they're not all at the same time. And the way that I do my classes, I pretty much load it all at the beginning, and it's up to the student to work through it. And I go through like once a week and grade stuff. It works really well for most of my students, good 90%. So we focus on that. Other than that, heading back to the gym as often as I can. I went this morning, and so I plan on going again probably on Friday morning. That's my assumption. And then hitting it pretty hard starting next week, going more frequently. My goal is 10 times a month to go to the gym. That gets me 1/3 of the days something. And if I don't make it there, I at least want to go do a 30-minute walk. So I really need to get back to all of that. Well, I think that's it, everyone. I am hoping that I can do this monthly. That was my goal originally, and I just messed up with it because every time I went to record, there was something going on. So I am going to do another video coming up at the end of May, probably June 1st. Just to go over what I actually did complete in May. Did I hit my goals on all of these things? Where am I at? And so that's like 9 days away. So expect another one then. And if you have any questions, make sure to comment down below. I definitely answer questions. And if you liked what you see and you want to be able to follow along with my goals and all of my works in progress and, you know, mishaps and other things, hit the subscribe button. That helps me out a lot. So until next time, see you hopefully June 1st. Bye, guys.